plastic.
Just bugs everywhere. Well, I'm gonna have to call it there. Welcome back to the channel. We are on part 9 of the C200 rebuild. We are right down to the pointy end of the stick on getting the C200 finished and re-registered. So we're down to the part where we're looking at painting. Now, before we do that, I still have to fix the small dent that's in the driver's door. So hence, all the panels have got to come off. The panels have all got to come off anyway, because that's how they need to be prepped first. Most of the sanding, or all of the sanding, is going to be done outside, so I'm not creating more dust than I need in the workshop, because it's already a very dusty environment as it is. So in this episode, we're going to be taking all the panels off of the C200. I'm going to be looking at trying to get the door fixed. As part of fixing the door, the driver's door trim has to come off because I need to replace it, as you've seen in previous episodes. While doing that, the rear passenger's door trim has to come off, because you may remember this. Oh. Yep. That door lock broke off and we need to fix it. I don't want to have to replace the whole mechanism, so I need to take that trim off, get the mechanism out, glue the button back on, and maybe if there's room, put a hot staple in either side to ensure that the glue won't break off. We're also going to plug in my OBD2 scanner. There is a couple of warning lights on the dash and we need to see what they are and see if I can clear them. I don't have a U-Butte, Bluetooth or a cordless like Autel unit scanner. I do want to get one, but in the meantime, this is all I have. So hopefully this will get by and tell me what the deal is, and hopefully I can clear the codes. There is an airbag light on there saying that the front left and front right has a malfunction. So I need to suss out what that is, and hopefully this will help me out. So as part of what we need to do in this episode, hopefully we can squeeze this in, is that all 5 wheels need to be repainted. I say all 5 because all 4 that were on the car were originally silver, as is the spare that is now on the front driver's side. And so the 4 have a couple of bits of curb rash on them. We need to clean that off, sand them back lightly so they can be coated as well as the silver one, so that they're all the same. And we'll also be hoping to do that in this episode. It's a lot to try and squeeze in, I know, but anything's possible.
So let's have a look at the instrument cluster. As you can see, I've got a front right malfunction. Contact the workshop. Same for the front left malfunction. They're both to do with the airbags, hence the little airbag band at the front. You'll also see a little airbag band on the right cluster in the red. Starting the car, checking for the engine light, and it stays on. So we've got an engine light and the airbag light. They're the 2 things that we've got to fix up.
In the car, I've plugged in the OBD2 scanner. I've connected it to the tablet. I have it saying that it's connected to the ECU. Okay, so let's have a quick look. This is a super basic scanning tool, just to tell me what it is. Let's have a look. Looking for the faults. Select a fault code. There's only one showing and it says P0302, and you click on it and it says cylinder 2 misfire detected. The car is running smooth, but the day I had the first safety inspection, when I left home and I was only 2 minutes down the road, I went to go and put my foot into it a bit, and then it suddenly felt like it was misfiring. I thought maybe it's in limp mode, but the story is I had to get there, so I got there, parked up, did the inspection. Then when I left, it was running fine again. And I thought, that's weird. And then the same thing happened on the way back. When I got back, got it into the workshop, I could hear this gurgling noise, like radiator. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Lifted the bonnet and found where the 4 cylinders are, because the spark plugs load from the top of the motor. There was water sitting in there, and that's what was gurgling away. It was like bubbling off because the motor's 90 degrees in temperature, 90 degrees centigrade. I'm like, how did that water get there? That doesn't make any sense. What on earth? And the only thing I can think of is several weeks before, when you might have watched the episode of me cleaning the engine bay out completely, and I pressure washed the entire engine bay. I mean, there's just a crevice for where the spark plug sits. The water can't escape. But I mean, I thought it would have like evaporated over that time. But I mean, you know, it hasn't been that hot for it to. So that's the only thing I can think of, is that the water's been sitting there that entire time. That was the first drive, like major drive that had been on. Otherwise, it'd only been like, you know, 5 seconds here and there to move it to a spot to clean it and move it back. So the steam going up somehow maybe got inside what, you know, clips on to the spark plug and has set that code. So let's start the car. Let's pull the connections off the cylinders and see if we can hear the spark plug working or not working, and then that's going to tell us. The fact is, the fault code exists and I need to be able to clear it. Now, can I clear it? Well, first of all, let's check that, and then we'll come back and see if I can clear the fault, clear the code. So let's start the car. Start straight away, and that's running smoothly. That is not misfiring, but let's go and check. Cylinder 1 is at the front, 2, 3, and 4. So let's check cylinder 1 just to see if we can hear a difference. Yep. You can definitely hear a difference when the cylinder drops. So we'll do cylinder 2 because that's what the error code showed. It's not cylinder 2. Well, it's not cylinder 2 now because that definitely dropped. 3. You can hear it drop. Let's just do 4 anyway. Yep. Engine is running smooth. It's definitely not. Yeah. 2 is working. Let's see if we can clear the code and go from there. We know the engine is running totally fine. We know cylinder 2 is not the issue, but it may have been previously when there was water still on top of the motor. Kind of makes you think, well, I guess if you go and pressure wash the motor, which I will do again before we actually take it over the pits, it'll be bringing it down to where you've got an air compressor and blowing it out dry so that that is not a reoccurrence. But in the meantime, let's call the code again. Actually, let's just clear it. Let's see if it'll lose. Okay, let's see if that's done that, and let's now go and do another scan. No fault codes stored on ECU. So, means when we start the car, that engine warning light should be gone. And it's not. It's still there. So what to do next? Now that it's running, it shouldn't make a difference, but let's run the scan again. If you know of a better, I mean, this is just a super cheap function that I can use to read codes. I'm going to need something obviously far better. I certainly would love to get one of those super duper professional ones. 0302 found. It's the same thing. Cylinder 2 misfire detected. I'm going to try and clear it once more. Run the scan again. Still showing the same code. Bottom line is, will this super cheap tool actually clear the code and tell it that there is not an issue? Maybe not. I don't know, I'm not an expert. So, in the meantime, means we've got some investigating to do. Maybe I'm going to need to get something far better. Well, I will need to, but I can't afford to do it right now, that's for sure. Anyway, it's late Friday night. Going to come back in the morning and let's get on with the door then. We've taken the panels off, but there will be a way to fix it. But we know cylinder 2 is not misfiring. We've already checked that. It's just a matter of actually clearing that code and finding out what these two other airbag faults are that it's come up with. Again, I'm pretty sure it probably just needs to be reset because no airbags were blown when the car had the accident. So it might literally just need a reset and we'll go from there. But anyway, see you in the morning. Back in the workshop. Callum's with me. We're going to continue on now to get this front end all pulled apart to work on the door. We've got the hot glue gun already plugged in and turned on, so it's got time to warm up. Unfortunately, I don't have an app, and I can't find one that's even free to clear codes on the dash. So I've got to work out what to do about that. But in the meantime, that doesn't stop us from progressing to getting this painted. So, plan is, get it stripped, and let's see if I can get this dent out and looking better than what it is. Are you ready? Because I can just sit back and watch you do it. How's that?
No.
Come on. All right, let's do that.
So if you watched any of my previous videos, you'll see that this is not the first time that we're about to strip the car. Obviously, when we first got the car, we had to take the bumper, the fender, and the bonnet off. We got the replacement panels, and we put them on to get all the lines straight. So, the wheels have got to come off so we can get to the arch linings. The arch linings have to come out so we can get to all the bolts that hold the bumper to the fender and the underneath of the bumper to the brackets where they're bolted. So arch linings out first. That's the brand new one. We've got to take the side skirt part of it off anyway. So we're taking the first 4 clips out. Then just unclip it from the under tray. Then there are 2 clips that directly join the side skirt to the fender. And then there's one larger one further back that then exposes the 2 10mm nuts. Now onto the passenger side. Arch lining out so we can get to those bolts. 2 10mm joining the fender to the bumper. And there's another 10mm underneath.
Just simply put this somewhere.
Yeah, room's getting limited in the workshop. Tristan's come in to give me a hand because Callum's not quite tall enough and strong enough to carry that bonnet away yet. There's only 2 bolts on either side that hold that entire bonnet in place. Fender bolts, 3 of them across the top. Undo those. And then there's 1 bolt either side at the top of the bumper. There's not many bolts at all. Just as well I've got Callum here, he's reminded me I need to take the headlight seal connectors that go and join the actual bumper. The headlight seal actually connects to the bumper separately. Undo the actual wiring, and then away with the bumper. Take off the seals, take off the radiator trim, and then off with the headlight bracket. I'm not taking the headlight out of the bracket. I can literally take out the entire bracket holding the headlight. Then there's less for me to readjust later when we put it back together. Undo the 2 bolts that hold the bonnet latch. Undo the wiring.
Headlight off. The car is now stripped, front end, headlight, everything's off. We now have access to this here. This is my crazy harebrained idea on how to try and pull this forward. I bought very recently, with some credit, I had a Total Tools, a full auto dent hydraulic pump kit. So I'm going to use that. I've got a block of wood in behind here. I've got this block of wood here so that this can't come out. It's tied to the shocky here just because it's going to want to pull this way. It's not going to damage the shocky. A bit of wood under it. I've put this tapered end on the front. You can use this strap. This is going to be hooked on here. And this is going to be glued on here, just on that front section here, to then be able to pump it and pull it that way. That is how it's going to work in my head. Whether it actually now works in practical is another thing, but I'm going to glue this on and try it. Now again, previously on a couple of episodes ago, I wasn't overly impressed with these particular white glue sticks, but I've had the gun on for quite some time now to heat up. So I'm going to try them, and if it doesn't, then I'm going to have to settle this up again, but with different glue sticks, because the actual glue is what is going to make the difference. So let's get on with that.
So the first thing you have to do when you're going to manipulate some metal is to heat it up a little bit, not overly, but just a bit.
That's what I'm going to try.
Now I've watched plenty of videos on this, and I realised that I did not have the heat gun on long enough to really get the glue sticks really hot. And this did make a difference, as you're about to see. Now I haven't done this before, I'm just going off what I've seen. Now the hydraulic ram is about to slowly start lifting, just as well Callum was here, because he was heavy enough just to keep it down, as you're about to see him push it down. And there was a fair amount of tension on that strap pulling on that door. Now you got to remember, I had tried to pull this out in previous episodes a little bit because I was trying it for the first time, and that little dent that was in there was not going to budge. Now this didn't actually pull it out the way I intended it to, but it definitely must have moved, because as you're going to see a little later when we start doing some pull dents, it made a difference. So the tension was strong enough that it pulled the glue off, and we reattempted it. And as you could see right then, that just popped straight out. And those tabs were really sticky, so having the glue super hot makes a huge difference. So I thought, I'm going to get this glue off. Well, I'll just reheat it. And then I thought, hang on, why do I even need to take it off? I can just leave it on there and reuse the glue. So that's what I did. Now these I bought as a separate set of pull dent parts. But unfortunately, they're not as good quality as I kinda hoped they would be, as you're about to see. Just broke the plastic.
Should I get that off?
Blue. Let's have a quick look to see if I can get this off. I've had a look at a video. It seems pretty simple. Just want to see if we can get this fixed while I'm waiting for the front door
It's a 4mm Allen bolt, of which there's two of. Oh, it's actually a torque screw. Let's change that out then. It's actually a T30 bit. So there are two T30 torque screws that are just under the armrest. There's no covers, but they're quite deep in, so they're not seen. They come out. Then it's a matter of going around the door with your door trim plastic tools and just finding where the actual plugs are so that you're pulling directly next to them to pull them off. Unclip them, and then the whole door trim comes off. And I was pleasantly surprised with what I found. So, this, I might be able to just unclip them. Oh, look at that. Oh. So, let me do that. And again, I had seen a video online on even how to do this, but I didn't realise the back was a cable. So that was a relief, because it made it much easier to get to. Put that in here. Yep. And this one here is just wiring, which I can undo with that. And that is off. And that is the whole door trim off. 3 connections. Means I can now 2 screws. Glue that back on. Problem is,
what's that?
that's the door lock. It broke. Thing is, I don't know if I can just simply put in, I can glue it on. I don't know if I can just put in the hot staple either side. If I can, if I get it right in. That's the plan. Okay, got the door lock, got some Gorilla Glue. It's a pretty clean break, but it's on a slight angle, so I do need to make sure I get it in the same spot that it was originally on. So I'm going to try and do that now, glue it, and then tomorrow see if I can put a little hot staple either side to really ensure that it's not going to come off. But I need to actuate the door tomorrow lock to see how far it actually pulls inside to make sure it won't, the staples won't interfere with the system. In the tiny amount, that might be too much. Right. If that's correct. It just did not stay on there, but don't let it defeat you. Try again. And this time it did hold. There you go. So, just gotta let it dry and get back to the door. Again, people realise I've never done this before. I've never pulled on dents. I've literally just watched some videos to get an idea of what I'm supposed to do. And it was working. So the more you do these things... Team, it is Sunday afternoon. This is the first opportunity I have had to get into the workshop after being at church in the morning and then being out with the fam in the afternoon. So I want to finish fixing the rear passenger door lock. Now, it's glued, it's stayed together, feels reasonably sturdy, but I just don't trust that the glue is going to hold it forever. So I have pulled out the very trusty hot stapler, and I have reduced the length and made some very short hot staples, just 2 of them, and they're going to go here. As you can see, I put it close to in place as to where it's going to go. Now, I locked the door so I could see exactly where the brake was in relation to how far that stem actually goes down under what holds it. And it pretty much broke right like a millimeter above it. So I want the hot staple to go in to definitely hold it. So that means I got to make sure it is well and truly inside the plastic, and I'm going to have to use the grinder to ever so gently just take off the tiny bit that's going to stick out once I cut it off, because it cannot protrude from the plastic whatsoever, so that it can go inside the outer sheath that the inner plastic rod actually slides in. It's actually a steel rod inside it, and it actually broke right at the top of the steel rod because you can actually see the shiny rod on the top, and hence it's obviously become a weak spot. So that's the plan. So let's do that and see if we have great success. I had no idea if this was going to work. I just wanted to try it. In my head, it was going to work. And the end result is, it did. I used a soldering iron just to smooth the plastic that had separated apart where the hot staple had gone in, just to smooth it off, then use the grinder, as I said before, just to take off the sharp edges. That actually worked. I mean, I expected it to, but well, I was still a little hesitant because it is such a small spot to try and get two staples. I put one either side, but there's nothing protruding. It's a little ugly, but you don't see it. But the bottom line is, it is now stronger than it was before, and in fact it's now going to be the strongest out of all four of them. And look at that, it works. Oof.
This is all up and down. Whoa.
I'm just making sure this one here still works. So of course, just to put the door back on was the exact reverse of how we took it off. Putting the door handle release cable back on, putting the door lock in, which literally just clipped in, banged it back into position, 2 screws in, and then tested that it worked. Back to the door, heat up the glue, get some more glue tabs on there, and let's keep pulling this dent out. Again, trying something I've never actually done before. I've seen the videos online. I don't even know how this got a tiny line. It's like an actual something from the inside of the door went and pressed against it, but it just doesn't make any sense. But I tapped it away and certainly smoothed it out. It certainly made a difference. And then got back onto trying to pull this one dent out right here. Persistence, people. Persistence. It's a little hard to tell with the glue that's still on that I've scraped off. But the original dent was like out here, and now it's literally just a tiny oval here. Most of this side is back to being square. Obviously just this particular spot between here and here is still back a little bit because of this. So we'll keep trying to work on this spot here, but I really need a magnetic dent tool to be on here with the tabs that can then be pulled, because it's now very, very small and it's on a bend. So, but we'll keep trying in the meantime and see how good we can get it. Now this particular dent, I do not know what's going on here. It's a really significant dent from the inside out, and it just will not go in, so that's going to require some more attention. Keep on with the pulling of this one particular small dent that it now is, but it is coming out. Nice. Pretty sure I'm going to need to get another dent pull, but one that's much larger. Longer stem with a much heavier pull mechanism. I'm not sure what we actually call it. If there's anyone out there knows what they're actually called, the bit you hang onto and slam against the slider, let me know.
Back in the workshop, it has been several days since I've been in here, simply because it is nearing the end of the year and life is just damn busy. But after pulling as much as I could of this dent out of the door, I just need to remove this hot glue, have a look at it. It's now time to start sanding all the paint right back down to the metal, because it's going to need to have a small bit of primer on it before I put in some bog just to get the shape back. So that's going to happen. We're also going to get the rear wheels off, get them outside where I've already got the 2 front wheels, including the spare, or what is now the spare. We're going to scuffle them up. We're going to try and smooth off the small amount of curb rash that's on there. give them a clean over and prep them and paint them as well. So then they're done and finished. And I've been to the paint shop. I have worked out how much paint after speaking to the professionals, but I still need to get some cash organized to be able to buy the paint, the thinners, the hardener, 2-pack, plastic and all that good stuff to be able to actually finish this off. So I'm basically going to dive in, get the wheels off and get this done. Okay, the wheels are off, we've popped the caps out, and now we're going to just quickly go around and clean up the little bits of curb rash that are on there, and it's only a small amount. Bought this tool off, guess where? AliExpress. Ages ago, knowing that this is the kind of stuff I wanted to be doing. Came with 3 different ands, a 1-inch, a 2-inch, and a 3-inch. This is a 2-inch one. I bought a few different grit pads. This is a 180. So going to give this a whirl. Never done this before, seen some videos, so I'm going to try it out. Wow, this is just so... That's like whack, instantly takes it off. It's pretty amazing. Taking the first tiny bit of black that comes off, you can see the original silver underneath, so kind of cool. This thing is awesome. All right, let's do the rest. Excellent. You can just see there's a couple of marks in the light that stand out, so I'm going to give them a quick fold down and they can be painted. And there's more curb rash here. Excellent. It's gone and it still hasn't really taken too much of the shape out at all. It's good. Next one. There's no more. All good. I've just gone over that spot again because we've now got a finer. We've got a 240 on here, and it's definitely just a bit smoother and easy to get the little scratches out. That is much better, and you just got to go a little bit past where the scratches are so you can smooth into it and then smooth out the other side. So when you're running your fingers along through, you can't even feel that it's slightly down compared to where it was. It probably looks like there's a huge amount off, but there really isn't a huge amount off at all. And definitely once that's painted, there's a couple of tiny lines there, but that's fine. That will be totally okay. Yeah, this is just where the paint's chipped. So all we're going to do is smooth the paint into the edge of the rim. Well, it must have been really thin here because it's like coming off really easily. Whenever you're painting old paint, and it's going to be the same in when we do the bonnet, the fender, the bumper, is you've got to, the paint that you're putting on needs to be able to bond to the surface. So whether it's an epoxy, whether it's the primer, or you're putting onto the clear coat, as we will be, you've got to remove that shininess so the paint has got something then to bond to. Done this. This one has, this is probably what I was thrown in as the spare, because it's got in that one spot, one particularly really quite a deep scratch in it. I'm not going to take too much more out. Time it's painted in black, it's not overly going to be that noticeable, but once that's painted, it should be fine. the absolute majority is definitely out of here. It's just this larger one in here. And without going and buying an alloy repair kit, which is a composite that you use, you mix together with a hardener, and then you paste in, and then basically you refill what you've taken out if you've got something really deep, and then you can reshape your wheel with that. But I'm not going to that length for these because it's only the one, and again, there's just an expense involved. Right, so that is pretty much those done. I did buy some scour pads from AliExpress, but these are absolutely totally useless. They do not do anything at all. They do not scour, they do not scratch. Paintwork, pretty good for cleaning, but to be an actual scouring pad, because that's what you'd use to buff up these shiny surfaces, they're not doing a damn thing. So we'll pop down to the shop and go and get some U ones from the shop. Callum and I are back in the workshop after being out doing a few jobs for the wife. We've also been down to the shop, grabbed some proper scourers, which we're about to try out, and we also went and picked up some gloss black wheel rim paint. Says it's high temperature and chip resistant and so forth, so we'll see. So I've got 2 cans of this, which should give us hopefully plenty of coats, or at least 2 coats on the wheels. So the main thing is though, is to try these out and see that they scuff up this so that we can actually paint them.
So I'd seen this on many a video, guys, just using these scour pads to scratch the paint. And as you can see, it does do, but it took a lot of efforts. Whether this paint was just super strong and stubborn, I don't know, but it was taking a lot longer than it really kind of should have.
It is another warm day in sunny Perth. I have been working on this very first rim. It is all sanded down with a 320 grit, as per the instructions on the can of paint that I got. What I ended up doing was using one of these in half, but this is just, even though it's a 320, it's still very hard, and I can't fold it and get it into the curves because there's a huge amount of curves in the rim. But I did buy from that wonderful website that I keep going on about, AliExpress. I got these really soft pads. This is a 240, the other one I just dropped is a 320. And they are just working an absolute treat. Problem is, I didn't buy enough. So I'm now gonna have to go down to Bunnings and go and get a couple of 321s from there, so I can get these wheels done. And I'm definitely going to order some more because they absolutely made a huge difference, especially getting into the curves and the tight spaces inside here, where all these go right inside, and even inside the wheel nut spots as well. Made a huge difference using those soft pads. So going to go and get some more of those right now. Spend a bit more time doing that. I've got something to do with the family this afternoon. And then we're back in here tonight to get more of these done. And then one of the most important things I have learnt through watching umpteen videos online and all these guys who've been doing painting cars and painting whatever is that prep is the most important thing. If the prep is not good, the paint is not going to stick and you'll end up with a terrible job. So this is all good. It is extremely time consuming. And after just getting through this one, I'm thinking, yeah, I could just go and get the tires taken off and the valves ripped out and take them to Jimmy down at A Steel Powder Coaters and get them done. But it's the time and effort that you put in and the end result that you look at and you go, that was so worth it. So with that said, down to the shop, get back, and let's get these done.
Now the 320 grit little soft pads that I bought from Bunnings were okay, but they were just nowhere near as good as the ones I got from AliExpress. The ones that I'm using right now, the ones from Bunnings, they're black. They did not last anywhere near as long. You could feel the grit starting to disappear after like one tire, and I was like, what on earth? They came as a 2-pack and I bought 2 of them thinking that would be stacks. But the really cheap soft one that I got from AliExpress, I ended up using at the end and on the insides, on the back sides of the tyres, the rims as well, as you'll see, because they needed to be scuffed as well. But this was really time consuming. Getting into the tight space in the middle of each of those 5 spokes was really hard. I had to fold the pad in half and try and scuff them, because they're also on a curve, both ends, the ones near the center of the wheel and the ones on the outside. I wish it was this fast, and I wish I could actually work this fast, but not a reality, people. Here we are, that's where I started, on the back, after cleaning off bits of dirt and grime that had stuck itself on there, and then gave them a light scuff.
Well, that is the third wheel done. It takes quite a bit of time, as you've seen, even though it's sped up and it might look pretty quick, but it is time consuming. As you can see, fully scuffed over, and as you saw, even the holes get a bit of a clean out as well. All the parts done. It's pretty difficult to get into the grooves, but it is required. That's for sure if you want to get a good job. Team, we're back in the workshop. Unbelievably, it's been a couple of days since the scene that you just saw when I was scuffing these wheels. This is the last one to do. I gave it a quick wash a couple of nights ago because it's been a couple of days since I've been in here. With Christmas approaching, life is just getting quicker and busier and faster. Will it please slow down? Anyway, got to get this scuffed. I want to get this done. Maybe even get them washed tonight so that tomorrow night I can attempt at painting them. Whether I get all 5 done in one night, I don't know, but that's going to be the attempt. Thursday night, I need to try and get all the video edited so that I can have it out for Friday morning. I didn't get one out last week. I didn't quite have enough footage, and time was against me, hence not enough footage. I didn't get enough time to come in and keep working on this. So if you like what you're seeing, please leave a comment, please subscribe. So many people watch these videos and other videos like it, but don't subscribe. It costs nothing. It's absolutely free. So please subscribe, help me out. I really would like to get 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Is that likely? Not looking like it at this stage, but nothing is impossible. So leave a comment, tell me how I'm going, and let's crack on with scuffing this and ready for paint.
This silver wheel has got to be scuffed really well, because I cannot afford for any of the silver, this original color, to come through the black paint. It can't be seen. Now the others have been painted black, so that's going to be easily hidden. But this one has got to be really scuffed because I really need to make sure the paint bonds onto it really well.
Well, unfortunately, the camera battery ran out of juice, so just the very last fine slot on the top side of the rim wasn't captured, and I thought I just want to get this finished. So the underside, as you can now see, is done as well. I made sure this was scuffed really well simply because it hasn't been painted before in the black, so the silver is going to show through, so I need to make sure that that is done really well, including back sides of the 5 double spokes have never been painted before either, of course, so I needed to give them as much of a rub down that I could with the tight spaces that they are. So washing the rims down is going to happen tomorrow night. Right now it's 10 p.m. I need to get inside. A guy reached out to me a couple of weeks ago with one of the bases that I've got for sale, and he had a brand new gaming computer with a U-Butte motherboard and graphics card in it with some extra RAM, which I definitely need for the video editing. So I actually swapped a base for a brand new gaming computer. So I need to go and set that up because I just haven't had a chance to do it as yet. So I'm going to go inside, try and get that done, then get all the hard drives swapped over, get DaVinci Resolve because that's what I use to make the videos, get it up, get all the videos on there, and see if I can get this edited and get it out to you guys. But there's still a bit more to do, so let's get on with it. Back in the workshop, finally, it is time to get these wheels painted. It is already late Thursday afternoon. In fact, it's early Thursday evening. I've just gotten home from work, changed, set up so that we can get these done. Hopefully I'll get the video out in the next couple of days. So without wasting any more time, let's dive straight in, get it done. They've got to be wiped down first with some window cleaner. Then I've just got to tape around the edge so we don't get paint all over the actual tires themselves, and then spray them.
If you're wondering what I'm doing, you've got to make sure that when you're about to paint, there is no grease, any grime, any dust on the surface you're about to paint. So I'm using a window cleaner because it's an ammonia-based liquid, which is really good for removing dirt. So that's what's been used first. Before you then go on, make sure it's completely dry, and then apply your paint.
I've just had dinner, come back to the workshop, and it's not exactly the ideal environment for painting in. So what do I do? I'm not sure. I mean, look at them. I don't know if you can even see it, but it's just bugs everywhere. Right team, I've coated this wheel underneath and on top, and I've done the silver wheel on the back side, but I'm gonna have to call it there simply because there is just too many bugs flying around. A couple have landed in here, one has landed in over there, and now that means I've got to wait till it's really dry in the morning, give it a light rub just to get those bits out, and then respray them. So that is going to be the end of this episode on the C200 rebuild. Thanks so very, very much for watching. Please like, please subscribe, please share this content with anyone you know who's really into seeing cars getting rebuilt. I would really love your support. Please subscribe. I'd love to get that number right up as high as I can before Christmas, and even hit 1,000 by the end of the year. Nothing's impossible, people, and you are the ones who can help me do it. You're gonna see these all nice and shiny back on the C200, and in the next episode, 100%, we're going to be sanding, putting bog in small amounts of places just to smooth over where there's a couple of tiny bits here and there that have been, where the paint's come out, and we just need to have a nice smooth surface for painting. I'm still tight on funds, so I've still got to work out a way how I can get the paint, the thinners, the plastic, everything else I need to be able to not only paint this, but hang some plastic up in here and do this. And obviously we won't be doing it at night time, that is for sure. So please like, please subscribe, help me out. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.